few weeks ago I purchased this, which is Amazon's new Kindle Colorsoft. It's the first ever colour e-reader that Amazon have produced, and I did a bit of an unboxing video, went through my first impressions on it, but I've been using this for a few weeks now, so I thought I'd come back and give you a full review of it. So here it is then, the first ever colour Kindle, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not the only colour e-reader you can get out there though. You can also get the Kobo Clara or the Kobo Libra. They both use the Kaleido screen, which is similar to Colorsoft. It uses a filter over a normal black and white screen, so there's a colour filter sitting on top of what is effectively a normal black and white e-ink display. The newer ones hopefully will use the gallery e-ink displays, which will be actual proper colour e-ink, but for now we're using this special filter on the screens. So my first impressions then, it's very light, it's really light, just like other Kindles. I mean, I've got my other Kindle just here. This is my original Kindle Touch. Show it to that camera there, and they both basically feel about the same sort of weight. It's got a USB-C port on the bottom, I can show you there, and there is a power button next to that. Now the power button is in a bit of an annoying place. Now if you look at how I'm holding this, I have it in my right hand, I have my little finger underneath to just support it. I show that on the camera there, and it's fine in normal use, but the second you sort of hit it down on the table, or you can easily knock the power button. So you can be reading the Kindle and all of a sudden it just powers itself off, and it's because I basically knocked it with my little finger. I've also heard reports that if you stick it in a dock, then it can knock the power button, so it can turn it on or off when you put it on charge. Yeah, there's no 3.5mm audio port on the bottom either, so if you want to use it to listen to audiobooks, then you're going to be using Bluetooth earphones. Now, that's not a problem for me. I don't really use this for listening to audiobooks on anyway, but Amazon are really pushing their Audible service, so as you can get the ebook and the audiobook at the same time, and you can listen to it, or the old one used to actually do text to speech. Haven't tested that on the new one actually, but that could be an interesting feature if it does that. But I don't really use it for audio, I use it for reading. And if I want to listen to an audio book or a podcast or something like that, then I will get my phone out and I'll use my AirPods on there. So not a deal breaker for me at all. So one thing I particularly like about the Colorsoft is the fact that it's a nice flat screen all the way across. So like my old Kindle Touch had got this ridged area that the screen sort of sat inside. You get a lot of dirt and dust build up in there, whereas this is just one nice flat smooth screen. So when you turn it on and you're reading the text on the screen, it's like the text is about 1mm below the surface. So if you look at it at an angle, you can sort of see it disappearing behind the edges if there's stuff right at the bottom of the screen. It's not a problem at all. When you're looking at it normally, it appears like it's right there in front of you. There's no sort of weird movement of the text beneath the screen. It's about as close to the surface of the screen I think they could manage. So I've turned it on now, and the backlight across it is very even. It's a nice bright screen. Now there have been reports of a yellowing problem at the bottom of the screen. Now that is actually a thing, and I don't know whether it will show up on my camera really, but at the bottom of the screen it is slightly yellower than at the top. I didn't actually notice at all until I read like articles pointing it out, at which point I could obviously see it all of the time, but it's not that bad. I mean, the fact that it took an article to point it out before I noticed it means that it can't be that bad. They're possibly going to fix it in a software update. Genuinely don't know if it's software or hardware, but I'm not going to be sending it back over that at all. Now you can adjust the brightness. Now mine is set to auto brightness. Currently it's on the brightest setting, but you can take it all the way down and bring it all the way up. But the weird thing here is you can also set the warmth of the display. So you can take it all the way down to 0, which is like a really blue white, and take it all the way up to 7, no, and up to 24. Now, you can see that there. It looks like some sort of 1980s amber computer screen, and I don't think I would ever want to read a book like that. Or it could be like a really old paper. You know, when you pick up a book from like the 1960s and the paper's gone really yellow, it sort of looks like that. So I kind of leave that at about 6 or 7. I think that's the best thing. And I'm going to put auto brightness back on. Now, in my initial unboxing video, someone put a comment on it saying that you can turn on vivid mode to make the colours pop more. And you can do that quite easily. You just swipe down and you see here it says colour style. You change from standard to vivid and close. Now, it's really difficult to see the difference just by looking at the screen after you've made the change. So I'm going to put some overlays on now, and this is basically on the left you've got normal and on the right you've got vivid. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on a particular section so as you can compare the two. So you can see the colours do sort of pop a bit more in vivid mode. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say it might be 10% more vivid in vivid mode. It certainly doesn't make a huge amount of difference day to day when you're just reading black and white books, but the colours do pop slightly better in vivid mode. And by the way, if you're finding this video useful, then please give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more from me. It really does help make the channel more visible on YouTube and helps me get more views, and it's totally free for you to do. Now, in my unboxing video I started showing you a sample from an Iron Man comic with the idea that it's quite easy to read a comic on a Kindle, and with it being colour it's going to look a lot better. Now, I have discovered that to make it easy to read you can do something called panel mode, and I'll show that here. You just double tap on a panel and it actually opens up that one panel, and then you can just scroll through it and read the panels quite nicely. It's a lot easier than reading it all on one screen at the same time. So I started wondering, what's it like reading a comic on the Kindle Colorsoft compared to other media? So I actually went out and bought the comic of the Invincible Iron Man. I'll show you that to camera there. And I thought I'd have a look at what's it like reading in the comic compared to the Colorsoft. And if I put that there, you can see the colours there. And then I thought, well, okay, most people might read digital comics on an actual iPad. So I've got it on my iPad as well. Now, on an iPad, it's very easy to navigate around because you can just sort of pinch to zoom. It's instantly responsive. You can zoom into the text. On the iPad, it's actually a lot bigger screen, so the text is bigger too. But if we compare the colours between the iPad and the Colorsoft, then it's just no comparison. I mean, if I look at She-Hulk here, her skin is bright green compared to a sort of muted green on the actual Kindle itself. So if we compare the iPad against the actual physical paper comic, again, I think the iPad has the better colours. It really does just pop out at you. And you have the added benefit that you can store hundreds, thousands of comics on an iPad, whereas if you want to take a comic on holiday with you to read or something, then you're going to be, it's like carrying a whole bunch of magazines with you. If I now add the Kindle into the mix though, it really does just look washed out. I'm personally of the opinion that comic books are probably not the best thing to read on a Kindle. I have read the whole thing through on the Kindle, and then I downloaded it on the iPad, and it's just a much smoother experience. Out of these 3 formats I've got here, if I had to pick a format to read a comic book on, I would probably pick the iPad. It is just so much easier. I mean, it doesn't have to be an iPad, it could be any decent tablet, but the screen on the iPad is so good that you might be disappointed with any other type of tablet. So if I had one complaint about the Kindle Colorsoft, it would be that there is a slight haze across the whole screen. It's almost like there's lots of little dots all over it, and I think that's caused by the colour filter that they've got. Now I can't really show you that easily on this camera, so I've got a microscope here. So if I put the Kindle under this microscope, you can see on the screen there's the little shopping cart icon, but all around it you can see a sort of lines of dots across it. Now that is something that doesn't appear on the other Kindles that I've used. So if I show you here and I point it there, you can see that the white levels of the screen are perfectly white. There's no haze on this sort of e-ink display at all. So I think the problem is actually specific to the colour display used in the Kindle Colorsoft. In terms of battery life for this thing then, I've had this, 3 or 4 weeks now, and I've been using it a lot, maybe an hour a day to read on it, and I've also been playing around a lot trying to work out what I'm going to be saying for this review. So I have hammered it quite a bit. But it's on 71% still, so I'll point that on the camera, probably won't come out, but it's on 71%. Now I have charged it a bit, it's been down to maybe 60% at one point, but the great thing is you can wirelessly charge it. Now I've got an Anker wireless charger for my iPhone, and that sits next to my bed, and then this can just sit straight on that cradle, and if you get it in just the right position it will wirelessly charge it. So when this and the new Paperwhite came out, there were some reports that you couldn't sideload your own books onto it anymore. So maybe you've purchased some books elsewhere, or you've downloaded some out of copyright ones from Project Gutenberg, and you couldn't upload them straight to your Kindle. Well, that's not true, luckily. You can plug the Kindle straight into a Windows PC and it'll appear just like a normal flash drive would, and you can copy and paste your files over. It supports AZW files, and I've tried a couple and they copy across and appear on here just fine. If you've got a Mac, then you need to use some special Send to Kindle software that's available on their website, but it effectively does the same thing. So if you've got your own collection of ebooks already, then there's absolutely no problem. You can copy them across to the Kindle Colorsoft. So in conclusion then, what do I think of the Kindle Colorsoft? Well, I absolutely love it, but I skipped the Paperwhite. I went straight from a Kindle Touch to the Colorsoft. So I never had the Paperwhite in between. So it's quite a difference for me. But is it worth an extra £100 for the colour display? I don't think so at the moment. I do really like being able to go to the library and seeing all of the covers of all of the books in colour. It's really nice, but I think the next generation, when they start to use proper colour e-ink displays and not just these filtered ones, I think that'll make it so much better. And at some point the cost is going to come down, so there'll be no point in having a Paperwhite at all. So basically, I think you should wait for the next generation when it comes down in cost, unless you really like the gadget value of having all of your covers in colour. Anyway, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for free to see more from me. These amazing people here are my channel members, so massive thank you to these guys for supporting the channel. If you'd like to become a channel member too and get early access to my videos and maybe some sneaky behind the scenes footage, then check out the link down in the description for more information. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.